Hey there, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to another collection video and discussion. And someone mentioned, how about a Brandon and Bruce Lee collection? I figure makes sense. Sadly, won't be that long of a video because unfortunately they were both cut down in their prime. Sad to say, but this time with Brandon. Brandon Lee really could have been something. So many movies he could have done. Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat. For what I gather, was going to be his next film after The Crow. That would have been a hit. That would have helped him get other roles too, and he would have been great as Johnny Cage. Lyndon Ashby did a wonderful job as Johnny Cage, but Brandon Lee would have been fantastic too. I would love to have seen that. And he could have been in maybe he could have been in The Matrix, because the Wachowskis at one time mentioned Brandon Lee. Keanu Reeves did a great job, but Brandon Lee would have been really interesting. I mean, that would be just a couple years. Maybe that would have been his breakout to the A-list. Who knows? But first up we have Rapid Fire, which I love Rapid Fire. I reviewed this. I did a fan commentary with my friend Efri on this. Rapid Fire, I would say my favorite Brandon Lee film. If I had to mention my favorite film with Brandon Lee in it, it would be Shonan no Tokyo. But this is more their movie. While solo-wise, Brandon, I think he did an awesome job in this. Dwight H. Little, who did Halloween 4. I believe he did March for Death. Powers Booth co-stars. Music by Christopher Young. You have a great song at the end. Hard Lines, I'll Be There. I don't even know if this film's on Blu-ray. I looked it up one time. I don't think this film is even on Blu-ray, which is a fucking crime. This film deserves a Blu-ray release. Release the deleted scenes. If you watch one of the trailers or TV spots, I think, there's like a fight he has in this, like there's an officer at a desk and there's like military guys, military police or whatever, and he like fights these guys. You see like briefly in either a trailer or a TV spot. This has teeny features from back in the day. But you can interview Dwight H. Little. Powers Booth is no longer with us. You do interview. Oh, what's her name? She was in Texas Chainsaw. Kate Hodge, I believe. She was in Chainsaw Master 3. Yeah, you could review her. You could interview her. Interview Dwight H. Little. Interview Al Leon, who has a fight with. I mean, Al Leon did an interview for Bill and Ted. I think he'd be willing to interview. Working with Brandon Lee. So, I love this movie. It's a straightforward plot, wonderful execution. Let's be allergic to the bullshit that this film's not on Blu-ray. It deserves a fucking Blu-ray. Of course, it's 20th Century Fuckface. They're too busy fucking up franchises. Too busy doing that. Can't release a Blu-ray of this. This deserves it. It's a great action movie. Love Rapid Fire. Anytime you need me, I'll be there. Anytime at all. And then Showdown Low Tokyo, I know not everyone's a fan of. Funny enough, recently, well not recently, but I got a comment from a very nice guy, but he wasn't a fan of the film. And that's fine if people are not fans of the film. But for me, I love this movie. I love that it was like you took an action film and you cut all the fat out, which apparently he did because it was a lot longer film, and Mark Lesser got pissed that they cut a lot of stuff. I would love to see that footage as a fan of the movie, but I mean, this is only 78 minutes long. I mean, less than an hour and 20. And it's just great score by David Michael Frank. I think these two worked well together. I like the lines of dialogue. You have the right to be dead. I like the constant gun battles, fight scenes, sword fights. Dolph lift up a fucking car and using it as a blockade. giving the fuck you power punch. Brandon Lee being flexible and kicking Tatsu's ass. Tatsu from the first Ninja Turtles movie. I'm like, shit, that's Tatsu. And Brandon Lee kicks his ass. You're right to be dead. Blows his ass up. Having Shane Sun carry Hayuki Tagawa as the villain. I'm a huge fan of this movie. I think this is a very fun movie. I think it's a very entertaining film. It does look good on Blu-ray, but it does not have much of any features. I wish it did. I would love to have an interview with Dolph Lundgren, interview with Mark Earl Lester, have the deleted scenes on there, but it's Warner Brothers. I mean, they gave so much of a shit, it's an archive, which means on demand they'll make this for you. So it shows how little of a fucks they give for the movie. This, my friend Effrey sent this to me ages and ages ago, and that's Legacy of Rage and Laser Mission. Laser Mission I could never get into. Could never get into the film. Actually, right now I don't remember anything about the film. I just remember being very bored with it. Legacy of Rage, the thing that bothered me about this film was that Brandon Lee is dubbed. I don't know why he's dubbed. I was looking around to see, is there a version where Brandon Lee isn't dubbed? And apparently there's not. If there is, people feel free to let me know. But I mean, this guy, why would he need to be dubbed? I don't understand that. Why is it not his voice? I don't understand that shit at all. So that sucks. I would like to see the film with his actual fucking voice. Because that just bothered me too much to enjoy the flick. Even though he does fight, I think he fights Bolo Yun in that, from Bloodsport. And then The Crow. I did review all the Crow films, all 4 of them. They're on my channel. This is the only one I liked. Crow 2, I hated the lead guy, Vincent Perez, where the fuck his name was. Crow 3 Salvation is, I guess, the best sequel, but it's still not that great. And Crow 4, you have Edward Furlong. Hell, David Boreanaz would have been a better Crow than fucking Edward Furlong. And of course, you have the TV show, but I haven't seen the TV show in forever, and I'm not sure. Did I get a DVD? I don't have it, so it can't show it, but that's why I didn't show it for the Mark Dacascos collection. That's why I didn't talk much about it when I mentioned Mark Dacascos, because I didn't have it. But I've only seen bits and pieces. I've heard good things of the show. I don't even know if it's on DVD, though. But Mark Dacascos would make sense in that kind of role, because he's a good actor and martial artist. Now, The Crow is not a bad movie. It isn't. I just sort of have a personal grudge against the movie. It's not the movie's fault. It's not like the movie's a person, but... And it was an accident because of stupidity. And it's not the actor's fault because, for those who might not know, they had these guns. They told the guy who was supposed to check them to go home to save money because... Fuck safety, I guess, because of stupidity. So an actor was given a gun to, blanks to shoot at Brandon, shot him. I don't blame the guy who had the gun because that wasn't his job. It was other people's job to make sure. His job was just to point. And I'm sure that guy felt guilty. I think that guy passed away who did that. And I feel bad for that guy. I mean, may he rest in peace. Because he would feel guilt. But it's like, it's not your fault, man. And they fucked up, so the blank wasn't really that much of a blank, and it propulsed like an actual bullet and killed Brandon Lee. I just think about all the stuff he could have done. And even as a movie, it's not even my favorite Brandon Lee movie. I prefer The Crow. I prefer Showdown Low Tokyo much more over The Crow. And at the same time, I do like the film. The soundtrack is great. Brandon Lee gives a wonderful performance. You have some nice villains with Michael Wincott, and Ernie Hudson does a good job. It's just... even if I take that out of it, what happened to Brandon Lee, the film is a good film. It's just maybe because anytime people talk about Brandon Lee, they only talk about this film as if it's the only film he fucking made. I mean, they don't care for these films or disregard them as if they're nothing, which I disagree with. But I do like The Crow. And then we get to Bruce Lee, where many of these were wonderful gifts from people overseas, which I appreciate. And goddamn it, I forgot something, which I'm going to have to get. But I'll show these first. The Big Boss 2-disc. I enjoy this film. This is a fun movie. Especially the finale of the flick. As well as the battle in the ice making factory. I'll just call it Ice Factory. Yeah, a lot of features on there. 2-disc. Yeah, Fist of Fury, aka The Chinese Connection. And this was called Big Boss, aka Fist of Fury. So Fist of Fury, aka The Chinese Connection. I do like the film. It has some cool fight martial arts sequences. I don't like the ending where he charges and then the hail of bullets so Bruce Lee dies at the end. I'm not a fan of that ending. I just when people ask like what's an ending that pisses you off to a film you didn't mind, this is one of them. You know, I thought the ending to this fucking sucks, but the rest of the movie I don't mind. Again, quite a few features. Probably ask, well, what's the features? On the Big Boss, it was UK trailer, promotional and platinum trailer, original theatrical trailer, Hong Kong promotional trailer, rare uncut 8mm trailer, original 35mm title sequence, the history of the Big Boss, a photographic retrospective, deleted scenes examined, the story of the elusive uncut print. Paul Heller, Fred Weintraub, they talked about Bruce Lee, Tom Kuhn, what might have been. There's an audio commentary with Bruce Lee expert Andrew Stanton and Will Johnston. And I would prefer Bay Logan, who's on this one, because he does seems like the best commentaries for this kind of stuff. And this does have a commentary with Bay Logan, who's a Hong Kong expert of cinema. The First Lady, an interview with leading lady Nora Mao. Interview with lead villain Riki Hashimoto. Interview with Jun Katsumura. Sorry, I'm butchering these names. Location guide with Bay Logan. Interview with the world's #1 Jeet Kune Do instructor Sifu Dan Inosanto. Interview with action director Jeff Amada, who's worked in quite a few flicks. Worked with John Carpenter and Big Little China, among others. Personal photographer Linda Palmer. Bruce Lee confidant Joe Terranueva. A rare photo archive, trailer gallery. And then Enter the Dragon, my favorite Bruce Lee film. I've reviewed quite a bit of these Bruce Lee flicks. Disc 1, feature commentary by producer Paul Heller. All new 30th anniversary Blood and Steel making of Enter the Dragon. A personal profile of Bruce Lee in his own words, and the original 1973 featurette. Let's see. See, what's the... Okay. Disc 2, Bruce Lee, A Warrior's Journey. Meticulous reconstruction of Lee's intended cut of Game of Death. George Takei narrates Weintraub's examination of the Lee legacy, Bruce Lee, The Curse of the Dragon. Trailers and TV spots. So, Enter the Dragon. Then you have The Way of the Dragon, which, aka Return of the Dragon, which has Chuck Norris as the villain. One of the villains, I should say. Counter with Bay Loden, co-star John Ben. Interview gallery, reflections of Little Dragon promo. Trailer, UK promotional trailer. Rare UTA 70s trailing TV spots. It says interview gallery, but I don't remember who all was interviewed. And then Game of Death, which I'm not a fan of. It's the one Bruce Lee film I can say I hate. It's at the bit with him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Counter Baylodian, deleted scenes from the 1978 edition. Legacy of the Dragon, exclusive documentary on Bruce Lee and the Game of Death phenomenon. Game of Death Revisited featuring 40-minute edit of the original Game of Death footage in accordance with Bruce Lee's script notes. I don't remember it being that long. Might be reading it wrong. Game of Death retrospective, interview gallery, fully animated menus. Oh, that's a feature. Yeah, just not a fan of the movie. It just seemed weird and seemed kind of fucked up to do this movie and have a guy pretend to be Bruce Lee and then even have like Bruce Lee's face on a fucking, like what, a cardboard or something? It just seemed really disrespectful. That's just my opinion. And this is not really Bruce Lee, but I reviewed this and it was better than Game of Death 2. Game of Death 2. Which the first half, I have problems like I do with Game of Death 1. But when it becomes its own movie in the second half of the film, I think this is a pretty damn good flick. I reviewed this, and I would say I prefer this over the first one. When you have, again, it be its own movie, and you have this pagoda that's like upside down and all this crazy, insane fight scenes in the finale, and this sort of gauntlet of death. Like the second half of this film, if you ever watch this, and the first half you're like, I'm not sure, stick with it. Because the second half of this movie is pretty damn good. I must say, pretty damn good. Now, before I go on, there is one more, well, there's one more I can show, but there's something I forgot, and I do want to get real quick, so I apologize. I can't forget this, because this is a very nice gift. Probably heard that, but some shitty Steven Seagal films fell down just because I felt so. Nah, just capping silly. But got this collection a while ago from a nice guy. I'm not sure if he wants me to say his name. Because sometimes there are people who don't want me to say their names. I'm like, okay, so I'm not sure. But if you watch him, feel free to comment. He sent me this, which was a really cool gift. I don't like that the disc, you have to slide it in. But yeah, this is really cool. You get the Big Boss, Chinese Connection, aka Fists of Fury, Return of the Dragon, aka Way of the Dragon, Game of Death, and then a bunch of stuff, Bruce Lee, the Man, the Legend, Bruce Lee, the Legend, I Am Bruce Lee, a bunch of documentaries, I guess, on Bruce Lee. I just wasn't much into these. Maybe because, I mean, there's only so much you talk about Bruce Lee. Because his career was too short, unfortunately. I Am Bruce Lee was in 2011. You got Mickey Rourke, Kobe Bryant, Dana White from UFC, Ed O'Neill from Married with Children, Paul Rodriguez, Linda Lee, Shannon Lee, and then bonus features, which I forgot what the hell the bonus features were. But yeah, love the presentation, the pictures. Pictures alone are great. And then you do have a book with a lot more pictures. Very cool. Try and do this without the glare. There we go. I'm just showing this, that's why this video is a little bit longer. And of course, Return of the Dragon, aka The Way of the Dragon. And they give like little bits of info too, text and so forth. Of course, they don't have Enter the Dragon because it's another studio that owns that stuff. Game of Death. Yeah, there's text in there as well. And last, this is a cheat, but I figured I'd throw this in there because this is who I thought Bruce Lee was when I was a kid. Because this might be one of the first martial arts films I've seen when I was a kid. On VHS, of course. Bruce the Superhero. When I was a kid, didn't know anything about Bruce Lee. They didn't show him on the 3-4 channels we had. No one at school talked about movies. So I'm like, oh, this must be Bruce Lee. It's not. I really like that music. The music's from other stuff, like Enter the Dragon. So, is it a good film? Maybe not, but I still have fond memories of watching this movie. So, Bruce the Superhero. And I know they did a lot of Bruceploitation movies. There's supposed to be a documentary on that. I don't know whatever happened to it. Wish there was like I know there's some packs with a couple, but I wish there was like a box set or like one of those 50 packs with like all Bruceploitation. Because you can fit at least 50. There's that many. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.